there, y'all. Welcome. Today, I'm going to teach you why traditional approaches to losing weight don't work and what to do about it. So, if we think about what we really want to do, and I include myself in this, what we really want to do is look a certain way. And if you think about what that look is that we're going for, it's honestly called healthy. Right? Like most of us want to be slim, but not bony, skinny. We want to have a little muscle tone on us. We want to look healthy. And we don't want to do or be any of the things required to have it. And I totally get that, right? I totally relate. If I ever figure this out, how you can just skip to having the healthy body without doing the things or being the person, I promise I will let you know. But I don't think it works that way because it just defies some of the fundamental laws of the universe. So if we say this is us, right? We want to keep being the kind of person who's kind of in this negative energy. A lot of it's subconscious, so we may not even be aware of it. We want to keep doing all the things. We want to keep eating all the foods, but we want to have the healthy body. If you see this red line, right, that's not how it works. And you will see people who try to cheat the system, right? They have liposuction, they get the fat melted off, even gastric bypass, right? And I'm not saying this is always wrong for everyone. I definitely think there are times when gastric bypass probably saves somebody's life, adds another 10, 15 years on. But if you watch people with gastric bypass, the stomach gets physically smaller. They are physically able to eat less. They do lose the weight, but then at a certain point, if you keep doing what you've always done, right, and being who you've always been, eventually the stomach stretches back out. You're able to eat more and the weight starts to creep up, right? So we tried to bypass this process and it just does not work over the long term. And if you think about like lipo, the whole freeze your fat thing, I have a friend who did that. She froze off the fat and then she kept doing what she'd been doing and being who she'd always been, of course, right? Because she thought she'd short-circuited the process. And she said, it did work. The fat did get frozen off, but now it's coming back in other weird areas, right? Because it didn't solve what she was doing and who she was being. So this is why these like quickie things, while you can get results, and I'm not 100% opposed to that, right? Whatever you're doing, if it makes you happy, it's getting you results, knock yourself out. But my prediction would be because you haven't really changed what you're doing, and if you have changed what you're doing, it's not in a sustainable way because you haven't changed who you're being. So let's kind of go over this. So this is the state, again, when clients come to me, they're not in this state all the time. And often they're somewhat unaware that this is even going on. But subconsciously, when you start digging into what's going on, what are you telling yourself about the fact that you have this weight issue, that it's the only thing in life that you haven't figured out, we start to get some negative thoughts and emotions that come out. They'll tell me, I'm just someone who is without willpower, right? I'm sort of bad, broken, or defective. And they might not think of it this way, but they'll say, there's something wrong with me. And this is exactly where I was. I thought for the longest time, there's something wrong with me. And the doctor just hasn't like found it yet, right? The other thing that I hear a lot is I'm addicted to. And it's interesting because we have different teams, which I think definitely bases back to some of the emotions and the deeper things that are going on. But there's team salty crunchy, there's team sweets, and there's team sort of greasy carby, and team chocolate. I personally still will have some chocolate every now and again. That's probably my weakness. But usually people have one big preference that they really strongly affiliate with. So they've got some of this thinking going on. What is this person doing? There's a lot of y'all that are neglecting yourselves, and I understand why. We as women are socialized to put ourselves last. We're like the flight attendants of life, right? We're supposed to make sure, the kids are okay. Do you need anything? Are you all right? Do you want a snack? Do you need a blanket? We're socialized to make sure our husbands are okay. A lot of times they're still the traditional breadwinners, so they have to be okay or we all starve to death, right? And some of that is okay. I don't want you all like spending all day at the spa while your, infant children are at home starving to death. There's some biological reasons why we do some of this, but as the kids start to get older, as they get more self-sufficient, it's good for you and it's good for them to get a little more freedom, a little more space, a little bit of time away from you so that you can take care of yourself. So a lot of what I hear from my clients, what they're doing is neglecting themselves. I don't have time. And it's not just, I don't have time to work out. It's, I don't have time to go to the doctor. I don't have time to get this tooth checked out. I don't have time, to take a 5-minute break during the day and get myself out of this panicked energy so I can then show up better after my break, even for the clients, right? I don't have time. I can't afford it. And a lot of time, there's different kinds of I can't afford it. Sometimes people are poor, right? And that's a thing, in which case maybe the thing to start with is some money work. But if you're making a decent household income and just all the money has already been allocated to the kids' after school activities, the husband going back for his master's, all of these other appointments and things, right? If your teenager is getting highlights and you can't go to the doctor because of the copay, again, time to shift and reprioritize yourself a little bit in the budget. I have to get someone's permission. Now, again, this is not always necessarily a bad thing. If you and your significant other make decisions together and it works for you, that's fine, rock and roll. But we need to stop looking for other people's permission to take care of ourselves, right? Like it's the whole put your own oxygen mask on before you take care of others. They don't say that for the guys on the plane, right? They're saying that for the moms. So it is okay to put time, money, and effort into not dying early. If you think your husband and your kids cannot survive without you for 1 hour a week for you to get coaching, then they're going to be really screwed if you die early because you've not taken care of yourself. Sorry to be overly dramatic, but it's how I roll. And there's some truth in it. So make sure you don't put yourself last when you're allocating your resources, time, money, and your energy. With a lot of my clients, food is the only self-care that is allowed. I deserve this. I've had a really bad day. I need this. I want this. F it. It won't matter, right? I have to do something for myself. Absolutely, you have to do something for yourself, but allow yourself something besides just food to be that something for yourself, right? Eating for emotional reasons, stress, boredom, addiction, right? Like what we talked about over here. And a lot of negative self-talk. So what are you doing? You are running yourself down in your head. And sometimes people are conscious of this, sometimes they're not. Oh, and side note, if this is all backwards for you, I'm going to walk you through all of it. So I apologize for that. But again, I'm going to tell you everything that's up here. So this is who they're being. This is what they're doing. And so what they have is the natural result of who they're being. And what they're doing is a natural result of who they're being. And what they have is a neglected body. And again, I don't mean that in a bad way, but if you don't take care of yourself, the environment that we're living in, it's an obesogenic environment. So if you live in America in the year 2022 and you don't pay attention to yourself, you will end up obese and you will eventually develop one or more of these health conditions. High blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. The high blood sugar eventually leads to insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome. You may also, what tends to go along with this a lot of times too, is thyroid issues, some adrenal fatigue. We kind of burn out the thyroid. We're doing too much and we're doing it with really anxious energy. And also what can go with that a lot of times is digestive issues, issues with the reproductive area, right? All of that kind of goes together. And then the visible piece of this, right, is the overweight and the out of shape. But this is all, right? If you're kind of being who we're socialized to be and you're doing what you're socialized to do, then this is the natural result of that. It's not that you're a bad person. It's not that you can't do it. It's not that anything's wrong with you. It's just, this is, kind of the slide that we're on. If you're not paying attention and you're just on autopilot, this is where you will end up. And like I said, what we want to do is we want to keep all of this, because that seems like kind of airy-fairy to think about all of that. We want to keep all of this. We want to continue to neglect ourselves, and we just want to look hot. And again, I get it. I agree. If I figure it out, I will let you know. Until then, here's what does work. You have to get your whole self up above this red line. And you have to start with who you are being, who you actually are, how you talk to yourself, what's going on in your mind. So a lot of times people that look this way, and there's different kinds, right? Some people look good and they are white knuckling it. They are barely hanging on. They've got an elaborate series of structures in place. This is not what we're going for. We're going for your like naturally, maybe not skinny, but like your naturally slim friend who doesn't seem to make much of an effort and who eats food when you go out. We hate this person. We love her, but we hate her. This is kind of what we're going for, that just like effortlessly healthy body. And absolutely it can be done, but you've got to start with the root cause, right? You've got to start at the beginning of the process. So what you will hear your naturally skinny friend say is like, just not that interested in food. Why? Because they're not telling themselves they're addicted to it. They're not using it to relieve their stress, boredom, and addiction. They're just like, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Like, I don't get this whole having to do it 3 times a day thing. I just would prefer never to think about it. These are like the Silicon Valley dudes that are like, yeah, if I could just take a pill and not have to think about food all day, I'd be into it. If you're like me, this is not our mindset. They'll also say something like, I'm somebody who sees food as fuel. So they might eat a big pile of pasta, but if you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, I'm carb loading. I'm running a marathon tomorrow. Or, yeah, I'm trying to eat a lot of fish right now because the omega-3s are really good for us, right? They're eating food, to help their bodies, or maybe even their bodies and their minds, but not to alter their moods typically. And they'll say something like, yeah, I'm pretty healthy, right? As we get older, maybe nobody's 100% healthy, but overall, you know, they identify as a person who's pretty healthy. And so they do the things that that kind of person will do. They eat healthy. And again, we could have a whole big debate over what exactly that means. And I do think it's slightly different for different people based on your body type, your lifestyle. However, we all kind of know what eating healthy is, and we all kind of know what it's not. I don't require my clients to keep a food journal because I find it's not that they're unaware that, you know, what they're doing is a problem. It's that they don't know how to stop themselves doing it. So they will bring it to me. I don't have to go through and be like, wow, you ate a whole, you know, half a family bag of chips with your husband last night. They already kind of know that's a problem. So they know they're not eating healthy. Taking care of your body, especially women's bodies, right? Again, the culture is very oriented around the male body and the patriarchy and all of this. As women, probably all humans, but definitely women, we are not built to go, 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 go all the time. We need some rest and relaxation. We need some sleep. Especially those of y'all that are going into menopause. The struggle is real. I've done some things personally that I was not sleeping very well, and now I'm back on track. So this is absolutely something that you can take control of and you can do some work around, but you have to be willing to prioritize yourself, in which case, right, you have to be somebody who thinks that that is important. Doctor's visits, right? Making sure you get, and I'm not a big fan of the doctor. I don't want to take a lot of pills, but you know, think of yourself like a car. Do you take yourself in for your oil changes? Do you take yourself in for your 30,000 mile service? You need to do that for your body as well. Taking care of your mind, right? Are you making some time, especially now we're in sort of this post-COVID, or I guess new normal COVID era. This is a great time to reconnect with friends, with family. And again, we as women need that. We need our girlfriends around us. It's like helps keep us sane. And under this banner too can be things like therapy and coaching. If you have a lot of serious physical or sexual abuse in your childhood and you have not had some therapy around that, I strongly recommend you do that before you come to coaching. That's not something that I am educated enough to deal with. You want an actual therapist who's trained on how to deal with that kind of trauma. And then once you've worked through that, then a coach can take over and help you with the weight piece. But you need to make sure to get that dealt with. Don't just press it down, because it does come up in your everyday life, how you react to things, how you treat your kids. And that, if you won't do it yourself, do it for your kids, because that does get passed down through the generations. If you are very easily triggered, they're going to make up that it means something about them, right? So even if you don't pass on the physical or the sexual abuse, sometimes it comes across as emotional stuff, right? So once you got all that sorted out, then that's where the coaching can really help, getting an outside perspective on your thinking, somebody that can see, oh, hey, this thought that you had right here, that's what's leading to all these consequences down here. That's where I can help. Taking care of your spirit. You may be a church person. You may strongly be a not church person. Either way, something to take care of that spiritual side of us. So it might be reading, meditation, working with a holistic provider. It could be group, it could be on your own, but something that strengthens that connection to ourselves, to, the whatever it is that's bigger than us. This is something that I see healthy people do. And then because we're thinking like a healthy person, we're acting like a healthy person, over time, we will be a healthy person. And so you get that healthy body and mind and spirit that then manifests physically. So sometimes the physical piece can be almost the last piece that shows up. We have to do the mental work, the spiritual work, the behind the scenes work. And then it becomes easier to do these things, to take care of ourselves, because it's flowing naturally out of who we are, instead of something we're trying to it's very scientific, right? But this is what happens, right? Is you're being this person and you're trying to do this thing and it doesn't work. You fall back down. Or you're being this person and doing these things and you want to have this body. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable, because you're defying the laws of the universe, right? The way our reality is structured. The way our reality is structured is, as a man thinketh, so he shall be. Is that the Bible verse, right? It's a fundamental law of the universe that everything is created twice, first in the mind, then in the real world. And this is true with our bodies as well. And it may be as simple as we're just not paying attention or not prioritizing. But if you can clean up the thinking and get up here, then it will be very easy for you to start doing some of these things. There'll be a natural expression of who you are, instead of something forced and hard that you have to use willpower to try to bounce yourself up there. It'll be easy. It'll be sustainable. So yes, there's a little bit of challenge in doing the work, but once the work is done, this is how it becomes something that you can maintain long term. This is why when I lost the weight, I did it from this model, right? I changed my thinking. I did a lot of deep work on beliefs that were created in childhood, maybe even some things before then, if you believe in that. I didn't until it started coming up for me, right? But when you change who you are, what you do will change. When you change who you are and what you do, how you look will eventually change. So that's why trying to lose weight the way society tells us to do it doesn't work, isn't sustainable, and why the way I've done it has been sustainable for me. I lost my weight around this time. I started around this time, probably summer of 2020, and I've kept it off since then. I got some work that I'm going to be doing next week that will address some of this, but I did stop a little short of my goal and bounce up a little bit from my goal, because some of these kind of issues that I am still working through. But once I got to the limit of my weight loss based on who I am and what I'm doing, it's been super easy to maintain. Because again, this is just the new normal. This is not something that we do temporarily and then go back to our old way of behaving. If we go back to our old way of behaving, our old way of thinking, we're going to get our old body back. But if we can change who we are It's easy to keep doing the new things, and we're going to just naturally have the healthy body, and we're going to feel a lot better, right emotionally up here, but that's kind of part of it too, right? That mental, emotional, spiritual, it's all bundled up together. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about my approach, my philosophy, and gives you some ideas for how you can either DIY this, or of course, you can always hire me. If you would like to do that, lisaduke.net/schedule. I'm currently taking appointments for the month of August. We can get started now. I do have some travel coming up in September, so I would encourage you to start right now today so that I can have you up and running and you can continue on while I'm traveling in September. And then we can really hit the ground running Q4 toward the end of the year. And by 2023 in January, you'll already be on track, and weight loss will just be a normal, natural consequence of who you are. So I hope you found this interesting and useful. If so, I would invite you to subscribe to my channel and also check out these other videos that will help you in your weight loss journey. Take care. Bye.